I'm one of these people who, still wears shorts in November and sort of denies that fall has set in until Christmas arrives. But I know, just looking around, the reality is that fall is here. But there are a lot of good things about fall. The foliage turning and football and lots of other stuff. But included among them is apples, right? Apple season in New England's a big thing. And although this year the region didn't have a bumper crop, it was pretty dry this summer after all, we are planning for the future. We're here to talk today about a really interesting program that marries up some good urban planning, some good neighborhood development, and a great initiative around providing healthy food for kids and changing their nutritional habits. And so we're here today to announce the planting of some 27 trees. Was it 30 or 27? 27. 30? 27. So, and 3 pairs. Okay, that was it. I know it was 30. So 27 apple trees and 3 pairs of trees here at Hazelwood. So that's the announcement today, and there are lots of people to thank for this, and I'll get into that in a moment. But let me set the context a little bit. The city has, I think people have noticed that the city is engaged in some really catalytic public investment in this part of the city. That it runs the gamut from the Cove Walk that is under construction now to the Harbor Walk, which was finished last year, to 2 new elementary schools, the school to replace Hannigan School just up the street and down the street, the new Taylor School, which is just about finished, the Public Safety Center, the new South End Public Safety Center, the first public safety center built in the city in over 6 decades, is in the planning stages right now, but that will be on the peninsula as well, plus all the work we've done on the beaches, and of course the SMAS project in the South End, a $55 million marine science expansion on their campus down at Clark's Point, and many things in between. And included among all those investments is revamping Hazelwood Park, which, if all of you who are facing in my general direction just peek over your shoulders, you can see why this is such a spectacular place, with cascading views of Clark's Cove and a really pleasant sort of 19th century feel of a park that includes the original Congdon Lucas house, which was the manor home for this estate that was once a private estate here right in the South End. So it's a really interesting place, and what we're trying to do in the city is really a couple of things: to leverage our assets, and that's an asset. The beautiful water views in the South End is an economic development asset that we are trying to make the very most of. There is value there that we're trying to tap through all these public investments, and the idea is through these public investments will come private investments, higher property values, and a higher quality of life. So what we're here today to discuss is yet another really interesting public investment here in the city. But it's not just here in Hazelwood Park that is in the same vein as all these other investments on the peninsula, but it also has other collateral benefits that will raise the quality of life in our city and make people healthier. It's no surprise to anybody that we're talking about the nutritional habits of children these days. I mean, supersizing is a big problem in our society. Snacking on bad food is nothing that we haven't heard of before. And the idea that we have too many obese kids and too many inactive kids in our society is something that we really need to wrestle with as we consider the long-term health effects of bad nutritional habits established in youth. So the idea of planting trees, the idea of planting, of actually making an active, fun activity of coming to the park and picking apples is something that we think will help change the culture around nutritional habits and the way we think about food in our society. I mean, we have to do that. I mean, there's a lot to be said for urban farming and cultivating crops right nearby as we have as we think about the effects of climate change over time. But again, kids who don't eat well become adults who have health problems, and that is what we're trying to combat here by planting trees and adding some fun to good nutrition. So, good nutrition doesn't have to be boring. Good nutrition doesn't have to be something that your mother forces you to do. It can also be fun, and that's what that's the point that's trying to be made here. So this is an effort that took a lot of work, a lot of planning. There were some shifting sites involved along the way, but it's entirely appropriate that this fantastic orchard is placed, right here in Hazelwood, because it is, as we were discussing offline a moment ago, in keeping with the 19th century feel of this place, which you will see really come to life in the next couple of years. There are lots of folks to thank, and this really was a collaboration between the city, between the Youth Opportunities Unlimited, a fairly new group in our city, Bernadette Souza and Joanne Tashane are here, who do terrific work all year long for so many groups in our city. But this is another one of their babies, and we really appreciate their help. A group called City Fruit, and of course Mass in Motion and the Food Security Network, another set of organizations that are geared toward enhancing food security, as well as opening up new nutritional options for kids and cultivating an ethic of nutrition among them. And of course our Parks and Recreation Department and DPI, Mary RAPOSA is here, and I'll have Mary come up and offer a few more details than I in a second. But I just want to say thanks to Mary for really getting behind this project with passion, because it's the kind of thing that makes neighborhoods interesting places to live in, and also good for you too. So lots of great work, and this is something that these trees right here are 9 years old, and they have expected lifespans of close to 100 years. So this is in the vein of the long-term vision that we have for our city. We're not we're not planning for tomorrow. We're not planning for next week. We're planning for 10 years, 20 years, and 100 years down the road. And that's what we owe to our children and grandchildren, and that's the way we do it in New Bedford. So I just want to say thanks to everybody for all the hard work here. I want to thank Representative Bill Strauss for his advocacy, as well as Representative Tony Cabral. There's a state component that you'll hear about in a second in all this. And these trees are still young, but we look forward to the day when they're fully in bloom and productive, and we can say, how about them apples? Ba-dum-bum. All right. Anyway, great effort by everybody. I want to call up City Councilor Joe Lopes, who is a big supporter of this project, and all the efforts here on the peninsula to really bring to life public spaces like this. They hold so much potential, and Joe's been a huge supporter of all those things. I just asked Joe to come on up and say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. It's tough to come after the mayor, because a lot of the things that he already hit on I wanted to say. I wanted to thank Bernadette Coelho and Jane Touchane at Youth Unlimited, Mary Raposa and Chance Perks when they originally did the original park at the Nuts and Fruit Park at Fort Tabor, Victory Pond. It was an amazing thing. And then Mary called me about a month and a half later and said, what about an apple orchard in the same area? And I was immediately on board, and Mayor Mitchell was 100% behind it. And then we did the parks grant for Hazelwood Park, and the idea was to move it here, and this has been an amazing place to situate it. As a child that grew up, this was my community park. I've spent countless summers here and countless days with friends and families, and we're doing work that's going to make this park a continual asset for people that live in the South End and live in the city. And I can't wait to see young kids picking apples with their parents, and instead of having to go to other apple farms, to do it in their own community. It's going to be a beautiful addition. I want to thank, honestly, Mayor Mitchell for all that you've done in the South End. It's been an honor to serve when you're on the council, and I think the residents of the South End have benefited from it, and the residents of the city, because what happens in one area affects the entire city, and this will be a nice piece for the entire city to come and enjoy, to pick apples in their own neighborhood, in their own city. So, Mayor, thank you. Chance, thanks for all the work that you've done on this project, and Mary and the entire team. This has been, as the mayor said, a cohesive effort of countless people coming together for the benefit of the city. And I really appreciate it, and I know the city will be better for it in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Appreciate it. All right, thank you, Joe. So, as I said, this was supported by the state. Tony Cabral, whose district this is in, couldn't be here today, and Representative Bill Strauss, who also is a big promoter of urban farming and nutritional efforts, couldn't be here today. But I really want to thank their support of this project, and Kevin Hart from Representative Strauss's office is here today to offer a few words on behalf of the representative. Kevin.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Hart, and I am the Deputy Counsel and Committee Researcher in the office of Representative Bill Strauss. Rep. Strauss sends his regrets on his last-minute absence for today's tree planting. The Rep is at the State House as we speak in a meeting with the Governor's office. With that said, I'd like to offer these remarks from the Rep. Today is an exciting day for the City Fruit Initiative with this initial tree planting at this historical park. Urban fruit trees are a valuable community resource, and frequently the fruit is never consumed, as it is not always known when to harvest the fruit, or it may be damaged due to avoidable pests or diseases. The goal of City Fruit is to assist tree owners to grow healthy fruit and to promote the sharing of such an important and renewable resource. We are pleased to announce that we've secured $50,000 for the initiative in the fiscal year 17 state budget. And we'd like to thank our partners at the Department of Agricultural Resources for their work with this initiative. With the beginning of year 2 of the program, we look forward to its continued growth and to the tree plantings on the properties of the residents of the South Coast. Thank you everyone for your hard work. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Kevin. So this is one of the jewels of our park system, and Mary RAPOSA is the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Beaches in the city. And Mary has a very forward-thinking approach to her job, and this kind of approach is something that is both forward-thinking and also in keeping with tradition. Cities used to park apple and other fruit orchards many years ago, and it's all coming around now. And in New Bedford, we want to be on the lead on stuff. We want to be thinking outside the box, and we're fortunate to have a Parks and Recreation director who approaches her job precisely that way. So I just want to ask Mary to come on up and say a few words about this program. Mary.
Thank you. Good morning. So this has been an exciting year here at Hazelwood Park. We just completed a master plan for the park with community input and funding from the Mass Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. And the first step in implementing that master plan is the installation of this orchard, which we're celebrating today. The orchard is a nod to the history of the property. There was an orchard on this property when it was a private estate, so it's a nice way to reference that. The orchard itself is funded by the Island Foundation, and in collaboration with Youth Opportunities Unlimited and Bernadette Souza's great work that she's done with the youth at Victory Park in the children's garden area is going to be a nice tie-in with this orchard that we've put in today. We're also really excited about the opportunity to collaborate with City Fruit. They're going to be coordinating the maintenance of the trees as well as the harvesting of the trees, and you'll be hearing more about City Fruit shortly. The master plan for Hazelwood Park was a great process. We had a lot of input from the community, and we got some really terrific ideas. That master plan is available if you want to see it. And the next step after the orchard is going to be some improvements to circulation of pedestrian and vehicle traffic within the park. We're going to be putting all the electrical underground and reconfiguring the parking lot and the entrance driveway. Beyond that, we will be doing some new landscaping. We're going to have a garden that's going to be installed by the Garden Club of Buzzards Bay. We'll be adding shade trees. We'll also be adding some new amenities that the public requested. We'll be putting in some more picnic areas, some more benches. We'll be improving the lighting in the park. It's going to be an exciting 2 years, and I hope you'll all, keep track of the progress as we continue with this installing this master plan. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mary. Yeah, just so you know, let me just pick up on something. So as you look around the park, this is an interesting exercise in park design and urban design. And one of the things that we're doing to improve the look of the park is to pick, pardon the pun, the low-hanging fruit. So as you look around the park and think about ways in which this thing could be improved, you look immediately to these overhead lines right here, right? I mean, do these belong in a Victorian era park? No, it costs a lot of money to bury these things, but just picture the park without the overhead lines, right? It'll look a ton better. And then you look at this beat up parking lot. We don't need nearly as many spaces as we have here for tennis courts and basketball courts. So, we have all this impervious surface in the park that's going to go, and it's going to be dressed up and look nice and not look like it's the side of a strip mall. These are things, and once you do these little things, then you can get to the bigger stuff like the gardens and other things. So all these things are important, but the idea of a park is, Frederick Law Olmsted once famously said that parks are the lungs of the city, right? So the idea here is to give somebody a place of respite outside the city where they can, they can go and enjoy themselves, and that includes walking through a fruit orchard and picking some apples and pears, but also looking out the ocean. These are the kinds of things that we're doing here so that we really, enhance what is already a terrific public asset. So, sorry to get on my soapbox about these things, but this is the kind of stuff that's cities that do well really succeed. And so, it's these little details that really do matter. So we're at the funnest part of our program today. And I say that because I'm going to call up two individuals who, in separate city agencies or quasi-city agencies, do fabulous work. And it just so happened with this project that their work overlaps. So Chance Perks is the city arborist. And so when you look out across the streets of the city and see all the new trees that are being built and all the improvements to the streetscape, this is the guy that's behind it. He's making it happen, and he's also making it happen in parks. This guy is passionate about trees, and I, as a self-professed tree hugger myself, I can't be prouder of the work that he is doing. Stephanie Rausch Perks is one of our leaders in Mass in Motion, which is devoted to healthy living in the city, and so she's done a fabulous job in, again, cultivating an ethic of nutrition, whether it's through farmers markets or other programs, and she's doing a fabulous job. So she's here too. She was involved in this project, and I think, as some of you in attendance already know, the two of them, this just shows how romantic city government is. The two of them got married a month ago. So I just ask you for a round of applause for Mr. Chance Perks and Mrs. Stephanie Perks, whom I will call the two of you up together because that would just be really appropriate. But let's have a round of applause for both of these guys. They didn't know this was coming, and I'm embarrassing them, and they're going to be really angry at me.
Hey, Mitchell.
Thanks, guys. Go ahead.
Thanks, folks. I'm here today just to speak briefly about the management of the trees, really being spearheaded by City Fruit Initiative. The support of the city is going to allow us to come in here and do to the trees, being a perennial crop that is different than, say, community gardens and things of that nature. So it'll be intensive activities done less throughout the year. So almost doing things kind of quarterly to make sure these trees bear the fruits that we wish them to, and so they can provide the opportunities to the residents, again, like Mayor Mitchell said, about that respite, being able to come here and get away from the typical city life to kind of relax and find yourself. So the work that we'll be doing is really pest maintenance and soil maintenance that will really give these trees what they need to hit that 100-year mark, to give us an increased value of an asset over the years. With the help of Mr. Inglesby as a professional in the field, and others here, being able to again deliver to the residents these trees is really going to be awesome. A lot of what we're going to do is treating them a little bit more like agriculture and little slightly less than the manicured feel of the rest of the parks. So if you see them and it doesn't look like something you would see, say, in someone's front yard, that's okay. You know, we really want to tie in the tree's desires to be more of a natural thread, really paying attention to what's going on in the soils. So a lot of times that might mean a little bit of a longer grass around them, or you'll see wildflowers kind of popping up around them. That's okay. We're trying to tap into that, and we're trying to offer that to the public as an asset. So it won't be as trimmed and cut and as polished as you'd like it to be, because we're trying to do these things organically. We're trying to do these things as nature intended them to. It's okay that they're a little close to other trees. You know, they're gonna fuse and kind of become one. And again, we're also looking 100 years down the line. So some of the trees that you see, you know, within the orchard yourself, and you're scratching your head going, oh, aren't those kind of close? Those trees probably won't be there in the next 20, 30, 100 years, whereas these apple trees will. So always trying to stratify the different layers of the tree lifestyles, both here in the orchard and across the city, is really what we're trying to do. And it really comes from, you know, the support of the administration and others. We can't do it without you. And those of you at home, you know, feel free to reach out to us, and you know, we'd love to hear from you and make you a part of the process. Stephanie?
So I first want to introduce myself. I wear multiple hats in the community, and Mayor Mitchell introduced me with Mass Emotion, but I'm here also wearing my other hat in the community as the network coordinator for the Southeastern Mass Food Security Network. So I have a lot of things to say today, because I think most of the community is not used to hearing this organization, because we're usually on the back end of things. So I just want to explain a little bit about what the Food Security Network is. So we are a coalition of farmers, food pantries, social service agencies, nonprofits, really anyone or organizations that are working together to promote food security in our region. As a coordinator for the network, I am often asked, what does food security mean? And I believe we can define it in many different ways. But speaking in the context of what we are doing today, where we have planted 30 fruit trees on public land that is not only local and nutrient dense, and it will be, it's accessible for everyone, and that is food security. The network's New Bedford City Fruit Initiative, with the help from Youth Opportunities Unlimited and the New Bedford community, will take on the role of stewardship for Hazelwood Park's public orchard. As Kevin Hart had mentioned earlier, the New Bedford City Fruit Initiative was inspired by a similar community initiative in Seattle, and Representative Strauss worked with the state legislator and the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources to fund the initiative, and we truly thank them for their continued support with this initiative. I'd also like to thank Mayor Mitchell and the City of New Bedford's Department of Parks, Recreation, and Beaches and the Public Infrastructure for their commitment as key partners in this initiative since the very beginning. So the mission of City Fruit is to promote food security through maintaining historical connections with the cultivation of urban fruit in order to nourish people, build community, and encourage a healthy climate. And I think it's really no secret that in the city of New Bedford, we have many residents with deep connections to agriculture. I mean, if you just take a look around the city, you know, we are a very long city, but drive around the city, and I'm sure many of us here today have seen, you know, just the different micro vineyards or, you know, fruit trees, fig trees, you know, just all the backyard gardens. I mean, they're incredibly impressive. So, but who's growing this food? And how do we keep these skills alive and well in our city? And why is that even important, right? So New Bedford City Fruit would like to harness this knowledge and share it for future generations to come, because our children really deserve the opportunity to not only have access to healthy, affordable foods, but to know how to grow and really be empowered by these skills. So since New Bedford City Fruit began this year, we have begun outreach throughout the city and have also partnered with many surrounding area farms to bring local agriculture into the city. And I'd like to thank one of our partners, Nookchoke Orchards in Westport, who have so far donated 700 pounds since October. And this is actually some of the apples right here. So a big shout out to Nookchoke Orchards. And this was actually, even with the drought and the early frost, that, you know, there was just a lot of challenges this past year. And they were able to donate this impressive amount of fruit in only a month and a half. So again, we thank them for their contributions to this initiative. We've also partnered with the South Coast YMCA Sharing the Harvest Community Farm in Dartmouth and the United Way of Greater New Bedford's Hunger Commission to distribute this donated fruit to area senior food pantries and others in need, as well as seniors. And I also want to mention that through this initiative, city residents who have fruit and even excess produce from their gardens are able to bring this to us to donate into this distribution channel. And we're happy to help with that harvest as well if you need it. So as Chance mentioned, working with DPI, we began to map the private and public fruit infrastructure within the city. So each data point represents a source of food. And so this new orchard adds 30 trees to that map. And you can check that map out on fallingfruit.org. All that's listed on there. So that makes a total of 50 documented public fruit trees, which we hope to continue to grow in the coming years. So I just want to reiterate our excitement on behalf of the Southeastern Mass Food Security Network and the City Fruit Initiative. This public orchard is going to serve many families and bring neighbors together to build a sense of community, promote good health, and create beauty within our city, which is so exciting. I am just so proud of this. So New Bedford City Fruit is excited and again very proud to assist in the community with the stewardship of this orchard and look forward to the day when residents can see the fruits of their labor. Thank you very much.
All right, nice job, guys. Does anybody have any questions at all? All right, hearing none. Again, I just want to thank all the folks who participated in this. It's a really true community effort, and the dividends will be paying off for years to come, a long, long time. Thanks, everybody.
Hi, I'm Taya Leone, and you're watching New Bedford Cable Network. Good for you.